And well, I'm the Bald Book Geek, all of the links down below, and I host this thing twice a week, so you're welcome to enjoy, and sometimes you get bonus videos. Let's talk about some film stuff. I'm seeing, the numbers on recent comic book movies haven't been doing well. The excellent The Suicide Squad, it was flawed, I will put that one out there, it underperformed horribly. Then the dire Black Widow underperformed, and wrong time to release it, wrong way to release it. I will put that one out there. People aren't ready for the cinema yet, but we're not going to talk about that mess. And Marvel are now worried about recent properties. They're worried about films that are coming up, and they've put one on the back burner, Shang-Chi, that's been put on the back burner, seems to have basically been forgotten. They're not even promoting this at this point. When the main actor is doing more work to promote the movie than the studio, you know there's a problem. No one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about the Spider-Man film, which actually looks very good, I will say that. And no one really cares about the Eternals. And part of the reason I think these films are underperforming now is franchise fatigue. I think people are tired, and since the decline of these movies since the dire Captain Marvel, I mean, I watched that film and I've never seen such bad writing of a female character. She's very much a Mary Sue, and they're so scared to give female characters or characters of colour or anyone flaws now that they do fall into that category. They're practically perfect in every way, and they just make them unlikable. Hi, Tila. But people are on the back burner with these, and progressive, you look at the numbers, some of these films have done very well, others haven't, but they've all progressively declined. And yes, a certain pandemic and all of the stuff that's happened recently does add to that mess. But the way they're handling the promotion of all of this, I mean, the fact that Marvel now, China isn't interested in two of the movies. I don't think the Eternals is going to be shown in China, correct me if I'm wrong. Shang-Chi is definitely not going to China, and Black Widow didn't. I don't think that even went there. I don't think it got shown in China. But again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't actually find any data on this. Disney are one of those weird companies, and are hypocritical, because they'll edit the film for China and then use all the footage of gay representation and women and all of this stuff for the Pride stuff. Well, the Pride shit they do every year. Really? People still support Disney. Disney are a horrible multinational corporation that destroy everything they touch. But I think franchise fatigue is a big thing. I think the fact there's nothing new. There's no big new films. There's no big Hollywood action movies coming. Everything is either Marvel, Fast and the Furious. They're all the big Hollywood films right now, and we seem to lack just popcorn movies. Or they're sort of smaller art house things going to straight streaming services. Disney have wanted out of the cinema thing for years for their own stuff, but for Marvel and Star Wars and all of this stuff, they want in cinemas. They want people to consume it that way. If you look at the streaming numbers of Loki, for example, they're extremely poor, but that's not a good show either. I think people are tired of it. I think people want a change. I think people want to come out of themselves, and I also think the sort of weird focus on identity politics and real world issues, and I get in trouble for saying this. Everything by nature is inherently political, it's how it's handled. For example, commentating on politics, the X-Men, the original X-Men comics that talk about rights and so on, and representation, but in their own way, taking a real world issue, versus I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, Captain Marvel movie. Again, with the unlikable undercuts, can we get rid of those, please? The whole thing is, people want escapism. They want to not think about real world issues. I mean, Black Widow, I watched through Black Widow, and there was no real world issues covered in that, but it all felt out of time. You have a great actress, Scarlett Johansson, who's done some great movies with a terrible script, special effects that look like something I can do on my computer. I'm not kidding. And many other things. Yet the Suicide Squad, yes, flawed, didn't do well either. And it's a bigger trend. We're going to see these films progressively go down and maybe end up sort of trapped on streaming services and kind of abandoned. And I think that's the future of kind of the MCU at the moment. Phase 4 is a mess. Phase 3 wasn't great. And then, I mean, it's just at this point, I think these studios need a break, because it's very obvious people want something different. They want to change. They don't want to be the same crap over and over and over. And that's also another thing when you have, and I've said this in other videos, the writers going after people on the internet. You have the sort of feigned good reviews and paid for reviews, and people taking Rotten Tomatoes seriously. I mean, Joker 2 is coming. That film's going to do very well. The first one's fantastic, but partly because it gives people what they want. It's a comic book movie that isn't about big explosions and splashy special effects. It's about the performance, and it's more subtle. You can watch those films without being comic book fans. But I think franchise fatigue, I think the fact that the audience is getting bored, and I just wish Marvel would realise this before they kind of run everything into the ground and hire another Brie Larson. But yeah, I mean, it's complicated. It's not an easy issue, and I can't cover all the bases in this video because we'll be here for a week. But these films keep flopping or underperforming. There is a reason. What do people want? What does the audience want? What characters do the audience want? I think Spider-Man's going to do very well. I don't think the Eternals is going to do very well, and I don't think Shang-Chi is going to do anything, because I think they're probably going to dump it on streaming. To be real about it, they're not promoting it. At the end of the day, maybe it's time to give these franchises a break. Or give people what they want, the main well-known big characters, rather than these weird characters that pop out of nowhere. And no one really knows who the Eternals are. I mean, unless you're sort of a die-hard Marvel fan, the Eternals are kind of way off the radar. And another retcon to the universe. Started out scientific, and now it's gone science fiction and supernatural. It's so strange. As a consumer of this stuff, we talk with our wallets, but the difference being is these companies aren't listening anymore.